Om Namah Shivaya, my pranams to all my brothers and sisters. Today we're going to learn how to make seed balls. So, Amma has been asking us several times, once at the birthday address last year, and I've heard her a couple times this year, ask us to make seed balls and to toss them at the edge of a forest. And that's just what we're going to teach you how to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about how to make seed balls in general. We're going to talk a little bit about how to make a seed ball, and then we're going to we're going to invite you to a call to action to see how many seed balls we can distribute. Okay? So, a little bit about seed balls. So seed balls are a way of planting seeds. Plants are actually more resilient if they're planted as a seed in the ground, and the roots can go directly into the soil underneath where that seed is. A lot of gardening practices are meant to help seeds grow. Like tilling, we want to make the ground soft, or planting seedlings, we have to move the plant around a lot until we finally plant into the ground. These are both practices where we're trying to prepare the little seedling for growth. The only problem with these practices is that they are actually detrimental to the whole plant. They actually tend to shock the plant, and the plant will end up being more vulnerable to pests and diseases. So how do we resolve that problem? So you say, well, why don't we just plant seeds directly, which sometimes that's the best way to go, especially with roots. The problem with direct seeding is that there's so many animals that are going to come and eat your seeds. I remember in San Ramon distributing some seeds, and the packet said broadcast the seeds, and so I'm like spreading my seeds, and I put some straw on top, and I was so happy, and then the birds just like flocked to my new little seed bed, and I was like, no. So direct seeding has a problem. The animals will love to eat your seeds. So how to solve this problem? Seed balls are placed right on top of the ground. By being right on top of the ground, the whole soil ecosystem is left intact. It's not disturbed, not even to dig into the ground to plant the seed. And when you leave your soil ecosystem intact, you get the boon of having all that help from all those players in that soil ecosystem. They will feed the plant. They will provide an immune system for the plant. The healthy soil where the seeds are planted will actually protect the seeds from diseases, from pests, and they'll make your whole gardening much easier because the plant will be able to be more strong, and it will thrive when it's planted right on the ground. Seed balls mimic nature. They mimic a process in nature that protects seed balls or protects seeds from being eaten by animals when they're distributed. So what is that practice? It's called animal poop. I mean, I guess you could say they even kind of look like animal poop. But what is with these seed balls is when you think of a deer grazing and eating seeds in a field, right? And then when the deer goes to the bathroom, that seed is actually able to survive the entire digestive tract. And when they come out as the poop becomes like a little nursery for the seed. And so within that little seed, within the little poop, the seed is protected from the rain washing it away. It has lots of microbes that will help support it as it feeds and grows. So seed balls sort of emulate a nursery, a little protective place for a seed to start, because that starting process is the most vulnerable time for a seed. When we make a seed ball, when we make a seed ball, we're actually emulating this little nursery effect. So the way it works is when you throw a seed ball on top of the ground, the rain will come and it will dissolve the seed. It'll dissolve the ball itself. So when the ball dissolves, then the rain hits the seed and it instigates the sprouting process for the seed. Okay. Okay. So there are 5 main ingredients that you'll need to make your seed ball. The first is an ingredient that will help bind the seed ball together into forming a ball. So that would be like something like we have here, clay, or maybe you have flour, or you can use animal manures. Anything that has a sticky consistency to it. Even vermicompost might be good because it's a very sticky compost. The next thing that you're going to want is something to nourish a plant. Like here we have a combination of compost and soil, or maybe you could use some manure. Anything that will have microbes and nutrients will help the sprout to grow. The next thing that you're going to want to add is something like chili powder or black pepper or mint or even garlic powder, something that has a strong pungent smell that will deter the ants from eating it. When I was making these seed balls, I didn't put any the chili powder because I was just making practice balls, and I made it with manure, and the ants, they just loved it. I was like, no. So even with the manure, you'll have to add something pungent to keep the ants away. Finally, of course, you're going to want to have seeds like we have here, and you can use flower seeds, herb seeds, tree seeds. They're great for planting all kinds of different plants. And then you have to have some water. And then if you want to make your seed balls strong, if you're going to be throwing them a far distance, you're going to want to add something like coconut coir or straw to give them some density so that they stay together if they can hit the ground very hard. Okay? So about some of the ingredients, I want to just give you some details. If you have clay, it's better to use a red clay because the white porcelain clays do not have many mineral nutrients, whereas the red clays are rich in mineral nutrients. Okay? And then, again, if you're going to use flour or manure, you definitely want to use some kind of a deterrent. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about seeds. The kinds of seeds that you put into your seed ball are going to make a huge difference whether they sprout or not. Seeds have very specific climatic conditions that will encourage them to sprout. They usually don't need a lot of light to sprout, but they need moisture and they need heat. Okay, so you want to think about those two factors. And you want to think about the seeds you're planting and where you're planting them. If you want to plant wildflowers that do well in a sunny meadow and you're going to plant them at the edge of a forest, they will be outcompeted by the grasses and the weeds that are already there. These seeds are going to have to fight a little bit with the other plants, so you have to think about what seed will do best where you're tossing it. So if you're going to toss it in the forest, like in the deep forest, maybe a shade-loving seed will be better. Okay, so when you look at your seed packets, it will tell you the conditions that it likes on the back of the packet. It'll tell you which climate zone it can be planted and the time of year to plant it. Especially tree seeds. Some tree seeds need the cold winter to sprout, so you're going to have to really think about what's best for the seeds you're planting if you really want to have success in this project. But you can go to a nursery and I'm sure you'll get a very helpful person that will give you all the information you need about what the seeds are that are best to plant in the forests nearby you. Okay, let's get started. We're going to make our seed balls. So the best time to make a seed ball is on a very sunny day, because as soon as you're finished making them, you're going to want to put them out to dry quickly in the sun, because you don't want the moisture to stay in the seed ball for very long, because you don't want to sprout the seed ball and you don't want the seeds to rot. So you want to get those seed balls drying out as fast as you can once you make them. So let's get started. So we have an adapted recipe. We're going to use 2 cups of soil. Okay. Okay. And then 2 cups of, this is sifted, I really don't know if this is soil or clay, but this is 2 cups of something red that was binding. I think this is some clay that was in the garden in a big pile that got left behind, so can't really fill it up all the way. So 2 cups of that. Okay. And then a little teaspoon of our chili powder. And then you mix this together first. Okay, so you're mixing. You just want to get everything evenly distributed. You want to get everything. So in your mixing, you want to get everything evenly distributed. Okay. And depending on your seeds, you can add them when they're. You can add them when it's the mixture is dry or after the water. But I think because I have long, pointy seeds, these are cosmos seeds. We have yellow and orange cosmos here in India, so. These I'm going to add in because I don't want to break them up. I think they'll be a little hard to add later on. So I'm going to take about half a cup of these. Whoop. A few stragglers get in there. Okay, I'm going to take about half a cup of these and put them in, and then mix those into. Actually gathered these seeds just from our plants right here in the garden. You know, if you can gather your own seeds from plants that are growing near where you're going to throw them, it's best, because those seeds will already be adapted to your climate. So they'll have a much better chance of winning out over all the conditions that they're going to have to fight against in order to survive and to grow. All right. And then, I don't know, what's so sticky in here? Okay. Okay. Then you're going to gradually add your water. You want to add too little water at first and just sort of slowly get the mix wet. Because once you have water, you can't take it out. You have to start adding more ingredients to even out your mix. So what consistency should this seed ball mix be? I was thinking a kind of moist Play-Doh would be a good consistency. More water. So you just add a little bit and mix till you get a nice consistency. Yeah, makes a ball. Okay, so voila, we have a ball. You want to make your seed balls about the size of a large marble. You could make them larger like this, but it'll be a little bit harder for the rain to break it open. So it's up to you how you'd like to do it. One other thing I might like to add is if you have larger seeds like tree seeds, you're going to make your ball like this. Make your ball. You don't need to roll them forever. You just need to make sure that they all stick together. And then you can just push in a few seeds. I have some large seeds here, so you can just push those in like this. Like 3 or 4 seeds, and that is sufficient for the seed ball as well. So it's kind of hard. You see, I haven't just pushed them into the ball, and then I roll it. Now people really get into the rolling, but I'm a gentle roller myself. So then you have a seed ball, and then essentially you just have fun. And if this mix seems it's a little bit moist, I can just take a little of the clay. I'm going to make it a little bit less moist. Mix that in. You know, you can adjust it as you need. And sometimes when you're making your seeds, it'll start drying out, because if you make a lot for 100 seeds, this might also make about 100 seeds. If we had time, it might dry out, so just add more water. Just keep, as long as it's making balls, don't worry, that's fine. So when you're distributing your seeds, you want to scatter them so that they're about 1 foot apart. Just to give them equal chances at the materials they have at hand to grow. And it's better if you scatter them at the edge of the forest, because the best place to put the seeds are at the edge of a forest, because the forest will be like a nurturing mother for the little seeds. Forest floors are so nurturing for seeds. They have little plants that will help shade the seed as it grows. They have a nice leaf layer that will protect the seed from the hard pounding of animals stepping on it. Their soil is already moist, so it'll be a moist place for the seed to grow roots into. And it has lots of nutrition, so the forest itself will take care of the plants. That's why it's the best place to plant these seeds. If you plant them on a barren, dry field, they'll be very hard for them to grow. And if you're planting wildflower seeds, which people really like, you have to remember they're going to be competing with the grasses out there and also with the weeds. So you might have to go and water them a little bit, or just tend them a little bit, because I've planted wildflower seeds as a seed ball and none of them sprouted. So it's a little trickier planting wildflowers, even though they're very beautiful. So you're going to have to think about the kinds of seeds and how they would do in the particular environment where you will be planting them. Okay? So I just want to say a little bit about where did this whole idea of making seed balls come from. So I just wanted to say seed balls are nothing new. Seed balls, actually, many cultures, ancient cultures, used to make seed balls. And in Japan, there is a farmer named Masanobu Fukuoka, and he as a natural farmer, he wanted to farm without using chemicals and pesticides, and he didn't want to have to disturb the soil when he was farming. So he's the one who really brought this whole seed ball making back to life. And he used to grow rice and barley and what else? And vegetables with the seed balls. And he had a lot of success. And when I was reading about it, one of the reasons he had so much success with his seed balls is because of the soil he was putting his seed balls on. That soil was very moist and fertile. So that makes a big difference. Okay? And if you want to make seed balls like him for your own garden at home, you can do that, but you definitely have to look at adjusting your soil so that it will be easy for the seed to grow and the roots to go down. And you can just take the seed and just press it halfway into the soil, so it's like halfway down into the soil. That will help the seed balls to grow in your garden. Okay? Okay, so are you ready? It's our time for the call to action. And our big call to action is going to be, can you make 100 seed balls and keep them in your car or in your purse or in your bike? Keep them wherever you can and toss them whenever you drive by or you go by any kind of forest or something nearby, and toss your seeds. And then we can get a number of how many of our seed balls get tossed from our workshop. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this workshop, and good luck with your seed ball making. Om Namah Shivaya.